Hello and welcome to another video. And today I'm going to predict the World Cup. So I'm going to start with all the stages, and then I'm going to go through the knockouts and then see who I think is going to win. So in Group A, in fourth I've put South Africa because they haven't got a very good squad, easily the worst squad in their group, and the only player that I recognise really is Lyle Foster, and maybe Mofokeng as well, but not really any really good players in there. So, and then in third place I've put Czechia, and I think they've got a decent team, but I don't think they've got good physicality, but they only just about qualified for the World Cup. They had to win both matches on penalties, and I don't think they've got a great attacking team. So I've put them in third, and in second I've put South Korea or the Korea Republic, because they've got a very good squad. They've got Son, who's probably gonna be the captain, I'm guessing, and I think they do have a better team than Czechia, and I think they play much better football as well. So, in first place, I've put Mexico because they've probably got the best squad in this group, and they've got home advantage, which is obviously a very big advantage in football, and they're going to be playing every single match at home. Maybe they're playing some in Canada or USA, I don't know, but there's still going to be a lot of Mexico fans in the stadium, and I think that's going to really help them. And I know their squad isn't fantastic, but I think they'll definitely get through. And so in Group B, in fourth I've put Qatar. No surprises really. They haven't got a good team. I know they were the hosts in 2022, and they became like the first home team to lose the opening match, I think. And they don't have a good team at all, and I don't really know any Qatar players, so yeah. And then in third I've put Bosnia, because I think they did well to qualify, but I don't think they can finish second, because like Czechia, they had to win both matches on penalties. They almost lost to Wales as well. But I haven't put them last because I think they've got a much better squad than Qatar, and I have put them also as one of the third place teams to go through, because I like that they've got a lot of young players, and then one experienced player right at the top of the pitch. So I've put Bosnia in third, and in second I've gone with Canada, another home advantage team, but I think that's really the only reason that they'll get through. I think Bosnia might even have a better team than them, but yeah, I have gone with Canada because of home advantage. I've gone with them over Bosnia. They've got a few really good players as well: Jonathan David, Alphonso Davies, Buchanan, and I think they can go through to the knockouts with that team. So then obviously in first I've put Switzerland, easily the best team in the group. They've got Xhaka, Kanji, loads of very good players, and they did well in Euro 24 as well. So I think they can easily win Group B. Now for Group C, another big surprise. I've put Haiti bottom of the group. Again, one of the worst teams in the tournament, I'd say. So yeah, I've put them last. I think most people will understand why. Sorry if you're from Haiti, but yeah. And then in third place I've got Scotland, because they're much better than Haiti. Obviously, they can easily beat Haiti, but whether they can beat Brazil or Morocco, not too sure. Morocco and Brazil are two of the best teams in the world, but yeah, I don't think they can beat them, so I've put them third on 3 points, maybe 4 points if they can get a lucky draw. against Morocco or Brazil, but yeah, third for Scotland I've put. And then in second place, I've got, surprisingly, this is actually a surprise this time, I've put Brazil, because I think the Brazil's team is gone a bit washed. I think Neymar's very washed, Casemiro, they haven't got any good fullbacks. They've only really got 4 or 5 good players. You got Gabriel, Marquinhos, Rafinha and Vinny, and that's pretty much it, unless you... Maybe Alisson, but I don't think he's even going to be starting. I think Edison's going to be the main keeper. But they've got players like Bremer as well, but because of how good their centre-backs are, he's just going to sit on the bench. Bruno Guimaraes as well is another good player, but I'm not too sure if the rest of their squad is that good. And their centre-backs are good, but the rest of their defence isn't. And so, yeah, I've put them in second. So, obviously, in first, then, I've put Morocco, who've got a really good team. I know there's a lot of controversy around it, but they are the AFCON champions, technically. And they've got good players, back-to-back UCL winner, Ashraf Hakimi. And they've got Brahim Diaz as well. I know he had that penalty miss in the AFCON final, but they somehow ended up winning it anyway. So, Morocco first in the group. And in Group D, I've got Paraguay last. And I know that's probably a shock, because Paraguay's team is not too bad. Almiron, Gomez, some good players. But, yeah, I think they probably won't be going through to the knockouts, I don't think. So in third, I've obviously put Australia. So Australia they've got some alright players, but I think Metcalf, is that how you say his name? I think he might be the captain, but I think he's a bit old and he's not that good. But I think Alex Robertson would have been maybe a better player to call up, because he's a very good all-round midfielder. He just helped Cardiff get promoted. And I think if they'd called him up, I think he probably would have done a better job than Metcalf will. So I've put third for Australia. They've got a decent squad. And I think they can maybe beat Paraguay, which would be a bit of an upset. And then, yeah. So in second, I've put USA. They've got home advantage. And I think they can beat both Australia and Paraguay. The question is, can they beat Turkey? I'm not sure about that. But so USA in second. I think they've definitely got the capability to go through. Pulisic, McKennie, Robinson, loads of good players play for USA. So, yeah, second. And then first in the group is Turkey. And I think it's going to be it's just going to be so easy for Turkey. They're going to walk this group. It's just going to be so easy for them. They win all their matches. I don't really know what else to say. It's Turkey winning this group. So then if we move on to Group E, I've got Curacao at the bottom. No surprise, probably the worst team in the tournament, maybe. I've put them last. And, there's not much else to say, is there? In third, I've put Ecuador. Caicedo, Pacho, Hincapié. They've got a really good defence, because Hincapié and Pacho, very solid. And then you've always got Caicedo, who can drop back a bit as well. There's some other really good players in that team as well. And, I think they can finish third, but it's just between Ivory Coast and Ecuador. It's so close, but I am going to go with Ecuador to finish third and Ivory Coast in second, because players like Amad Diallo, Ndika, players like that, they're all really good. But Germany are first in this group. They've got the best squad. They're one of the favourites to win, maybe even. I don't think they will win, but, they've got a bit of a chance at least. Wirtz, Musiala, their squad's really good. Yeah, they top this group. So in Group F, it's the first real proper surprise group. I know Morocco topping Group C was a bit of a surprise, but pretty much the entire group is a surprise, apart from Tunisia last. So I know we're definitely finishing last in this group. But in third, surprisingly, I've gone with the Netherlands, who are probably actually the favourite to top this group. But I think Van Dijk is the best player in their defence. And other than that, the defence doesn't look great. I know they've got Van de Ven who can run, but he's not actually that good. I've got, Gravenberch, De Jong and Reinders is a really good midfield, but I don't really know where the goals are coming from with Depay and Gakpo as best attacking players for Netherlands. So, I am not too sure about Netherlands at the moment. So, in second, I've gone with Sweden. Gyökeres, Isak. In the attack, they've got a nice midfield with Kulusevski, Forsberg, Bergvall. They look really good going into the World Cup. They've got a good squad. They qualified through. Did they? I'm not too sure. I think they got through the playoffs, maybe. I think it's not going to be a too tricky group for them. I think they can get through in this. And then in first place, I've gone with Japan because I think they play really fast football. They haven't got many huge names, but they've got some names that are big but not too big, like players like Kubo, Mitoma, Doan, Endo. And I think they can top this group whenever they get the ball. They're thinking about when the next goal is going to come. So I've put them top of the group. And then moving on to Group G, New Zealand in last. Yeah, not much to say. I mean, this is the easiest group to predict. New Zealand last, Iran in third, Egypt second, Belgium first. I mean, that is the exact order that group's going to come in. I mean, it's just going to be between Iran and New Zealand who can maybe get that third place spot and maybe go through, but Egypt and Belgium are definitely coming in the top two of this group. I mean, Belgium's squad does look a bit washed with most of their best players being a bit over 30. But yeah, I think Belgium win this group and Egypt also go through. And Iran are one of the teams that I don't think will go through on third place. So in Group H, I've gone Cape Verde last, obviously. Another really easy group to predict, really. Saudi Arabia in third, Uruguay in second, Spain in first. So Spain are going to absolutely batter Cape Verde. Saudi Arabia, I think third is a perfect place to put them. I mean, they're going to beat Cape Verde, but they're not really. Nothing else is really going to come out of it. Uruguay in second, again, going to beat Cape Verde and Saudi Arabia, and Spain are going to win all their matches. So, I mean, there's potential that they could maybe draw with Uruguay, and I think Uruguay have got a good squad. They've got Valverde, Nunes, Araujo. There's some good players, but I think it's mainly Spain's team is just too good, and no matter what teams you put them with in a group, they're probably going to top it. So, Group I, I've gone with Iraq, bottom of the group. Their team isn't very good. They're probably one of the worst teams in the tournament. And third and second, it was I wasn't really sure which one to pick. Should I pick Senegal? Should I pick Norway? And I went with Senegal because I think they've got a decent team, but I think Norway probably has a better team. Erling Haaland, Ødegaard. It used to be, for Norway, it used to just be Haaland and Ødegaard, and then there wasn't really any other good players. Everyone else are just mid, but now they've got, Oscar Bob, Sorloth, Nusa, a lot of good players, Aya. A lot of really good players have come into that Norway team, and I think they can finish second, but France top this group, again, one of the favourites to win. They've got one of the best squads in the world, and yeah, they win Group I. Group J, Jordan last, obviously. There's genuinely, about these teams like Curacao, Jordan, Iraq, there's Cape Verde, there's literally nothing to say about them. Algeria in third. I think Algeria are a quite underrated national team. They had a good game. I think it was against the Netherlands recently, and they've got some decent players. And I think they're quite an underrated national team and could do all right in this tournament. Probably better than most people think. I put Austria in second. Again, this group is pretty easy to predict. Austria in second, Sabitzer, Limers, off the back of a very good season with Bayern. So yeah, I put Austria in second. Argentina top this group, world champions. Their squad has gotten a bit worse since 2022 when they won it. But I think it just all comes down to how well Messi performs in this tournament. Whether he gets benched, whether he has a strop, It's just a bit... it all comes down to that, really. So, for Group K, I've put Uzbekistan in last. Probably no surprise to anyone. I don't think they can really defend at all, or they're not going to do anything in this group. Congo I put in third, but not as one of the teams to go through. I know they've got Yohan Wisso's good. There's a few really good players for them, but I think they can maybe get a lucky point against Portugal or Colombia, but not really. But in second, I've actually gone with Portugal. I think if Colombia can somehow get a draw with Portugal, and then so can DR Congo, that lets Colombia then go and win the group. So, and I think that could easily happen. So, yeah, Ecuador in first place, and then the final group, Group L. This is a big surprise now. I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with this, but I've gone with Panama in fourth, obviously. But then in third, I've actually gone with England because I think Croatia are going to have a surprisingly decent tournament. And then I think Ghana are a really fun team to watch. I think they've got really good players. And I think if they can potentially get a draw with England, beat Croatia and beat Panama, and then that's top of the group. And then Croatia, obviously, Croatia, I think they can maybe get... If they get a draw with England and then win the other two matches, that puts them on 7 points, and that puts them in second place, depending on the goal difference, obviously. But then England, I think, will draw to Ghana and Croatia, and then just about win against Panama, so that puts them on 5 points. So, yeah, England in third, but 5 points should easily get them through. So I have put them through to the round of 32. So now we're into the knockouts. So these are the games that I've got in the draw. So we've got South Korea versus Canada, Germany versus Scotland, Japan versus Brazil, Morocco versus Sweden, France versus Netherlands, Norway versus Ecuador, Mexico versus Ivory Coast, Senegal versus Ghana, Bosnia versus Turkey, Belgium versus Czechia, Portugal versus Croatia, Spain versus Austria, Switzerland versus Algeria, Argentina versus Uruguay, England versus Colombia, and Egypt versus the USA. So for the first match, I've gone with South Korea 2-1 Canada. I know Canada have got home advantage, but South Korea have got a much better squad. I've put them through to the round of 16. Germany 3-2 Scotland. Scotland's team, I know the last time these two played, Germany dominated. It was the opening game of Euro 2024. But Scotland's squad has gotten a lot better. A lot of players have gotten better. I know Andy Robertson has only gotten worse since then, but players like John McGinn, McTominay, obviously, even Che Adams have improved so much since then. So I think it will be close, but I've gone with a 3-2 win for Germany. And then Japan versus Brazil. This is where an upset can really happen. And I've put 2-2 after extra time. And then after penalties, I've gone with 4-2 to Japan. Their football's so good, and I think Brazil's team is just not as good as it used to be. Like, not even nearly as good. And I think Neymar will probably get injured during the group stages or during this match. So, yeah, I'm going to say an upset here and say that Japan go through in this one. And then Morocco versus Sweden, I've gone with 3-1 to Morocco. I know Sweden have got a good team, but Morocco might not have the best players. They've got some really good players, but they really, all the players really know how to play football. So I've gone with 3-1 win to Morocco. Maybe Sweden's goal just comes from Gyökeres or Isak, but yeah, that's the end of it for Sweden, I think. France versus Netherlands, I've gone with surprising 4-0 to France. Now, I know I mentioned Netherlands is Netherlands' defence, apart from Van Dijk, is just a bit open. They don't have any real way of scoring goals, even though the midfielders can play passes through. If you don't have a good striker, then it doesn't really matter. So, yeah, I've said France will absolutely dominate this game and win this one 4-0. So, Norway versus Ecuador, I've said a slight just 1-0 win to Norway. I know Ecuador's squad is very good, but I said it's gonna be such a close game. But yeah, I've gone with Norway. So Mexico versus Ivory Coast, I've gone with 4-3 to Ivory Coast, one of the best matches in the tournament. And I'm actually going to say that Mexico go 3-0 up, only to lose. And I think that'll be a big thing, especially for a host country to go out like that. And I think Ivory Coast's squad just about edges over Mexico, even though Mexico have the home advantage. But to be honest, without that home advantage, I probably would have put it as a more comfortable win for the Ivory Coast. But yeah, 4-3 I think is fair enough. So Senegal versus Ghana. Now this is like an African battle of two nations that are very similar to each other. They've got two very similar squads. But I think Ghana, although they've got a very good squad, I don't know if it's the chemistry or what, but they don't use it that well. That's why they're ranked so low in the world. I think it's like 75th they're ranked. And I think Senegal, 2-1 win for them. And then Bosnia versus Turkey, interesting one. And, you know, I've gone with Bosnia to win 2-0. I think Edin Dzeko will score, and maybe another one of those random players. I forgot his name, but I know there's a really good player who plays for PSV. So, yeah. Belgium 3-0 Czechia. I think Czechia's defence is not that good. No, their defence is good, to be fair, but their attack isn't good, and I think Belgium will beat them easily. Portugal 2-1 Croatia. Croatia's squad is really good, but you know, Ronaldo's got a really good squad, and he's got a real chance of winning his first ever World Cup. You know, Spain 3, Austria 0. Austria's squad is really good, but Spain's is just so much better. Switzerland lose 1-0 to Algeria. I've already said my reasons for Algeria. Like, they've got a really good team, I think. Very underrated, and I think Switzerland's team has gotten a bit worse because Akanji and Xhaka are getting a bit old now. And, you know, Switzerland have got a very good team, but I think Algeria will just win this one if this fixture does happen. And then Argentina versus Uruguay, a South American game. And I've gone with one of those games where the defences are too good, you know, 0-0, and I've said Argentina win 4-1 on penalties. And yeah, I think that's how it will happen. England 2-0 against Colombia. Colombia have got a very good team, but England's squad looks really good going into this. I know I put them third in the group, but their team's really good, and yeah, they're gonna beat Colombia if that match happens. Egypt versus the USA is an interesting one. You know, very similar squads with players, with some good players and some not so good players. But I've gone with 3-1 to Egypt, with Salah maybe scoring. Marmoush scores 2, I don't know, but yeah. And then round of 16, I've gone. So these are the matches in the round of 16. So Germany versus France, Japan versus Korea Republic, Morocco versus Norway, Ivory Coast versus Senegal, Spain versus Portugal, Bosnia versus Belgium, Egypt versus Argentina, and England versus Algeria. So I've gone with 3-2 to France against Germany. Germany getting knocked out. I think France's squad is just way too good. And then we've got Japan versus South Korea, 1-0 to Japan. I think Japan's football, they've got similar squads, and Japan's football is just so fun to watch, and I think they'd get through there. Morocco 2-0 Norway again. Morocco, a really good side, and I think they'll get through to the quarterfinals. Ivory Coast 2-0 Senegal. Ivory Coast again, I think Senegal aren't that good, although they managed to beat Ghana. That's just because of Ghana's low world ranking. Ivory Coast beat Senegal, I think. Then Spain versus Portugal, a very difficult one, and I've gone with 1-0 to Spain. Very close game, and I think defences will be very good, but I think Spain will manage to just nick a goal towards the end. And Bosnia, I've gone with them actually beating Belgium, because I think if you can beat a team like Italy, I think they've got a really good chance against Belgium. I've gone with a 2-1 win there. And it's going to be a hard game, and I know I might just be favouring Bosnia by saying that, but I think Belgium's squad has worsened a bit, and I think Bosnia could potentially get a win there. Egypt, I've gone with another upset here. I've gone with Egypt winning 1-0 against Argentina. Argentina's squad, or another squad that's gotten a bit worse, and I'd say Egypt have got a really good squad now, and could potentially get a good run in this. So and then England versus Algeria, I've gone with 2-1 to England. 5-1 to England, sorry. Their team's so much better. I know I said Algeria are a really good team, but England's squad looks so good. And then, so for the quarterfinals, we've got France versus Japan, Spain versus Bosnia, Morocco versus Ivory Coast, England versus Egypt. I've gone with France 3-1 Japan. This is where the run ends. I know I've made my points about them, but yeah, they're not beating France. And then Spain versus Bosnia, same thing for Bosnia. Like, they're not beating Spain, and I've gone with 5-0 to Spain. I think Spain will beat them with ease, to be honest. Morocco versus Ivory Coast, I've gone with 1-0 to Morocco. It'll be a close game, but no, Morocco takes that. And then England 1-1 Egypt, I've said maybe, and then goes to penalties where England aren't too reliable, and I'm going to say Harry Kane misses another big penalty, and Egypt win that one 3-1 on penalties and go through to the World Cup semi-final. So semi-finals, Spain versus France and Morocco versus Egypt. So either Morocco or Egypt are going to the World Cup final. So Spain versus France is such a hard game to predict. I was hoping that this game didn't come up, but it has. And I knew it would come up at some point, but I've gone with 1-0 to Spain because it'll be so close and Spain will just get a goal, I think. It's so hard to predict that one, but yeah. And then Morocco 2-1 Egypt. That's where Egypt's run ends. Egypt, they had a very good tournament, but yeah, not really. And then third place playoff, I'll just say France gets third, Egypt gets fourth. So the World Cup final is Spain versus Morocco, and I wasn't expecting Morocco to get here, but that's just how the bracket played out, I guess. So Morocco didn't have a too tricky path, I don't think. Beating Sweden, beating Norway, beating Ivory Coast, and beating Egypt. So it wasn't that hard for Morocco, to be honest. But yeah, they've made it here, and I've said 3-3. It gets incredibly close, but Spain win 3-0 on penalties to win the World Cup. So I think Spain are going to win the World Cup. Morocco in second, France in third, and Egypt in fourth. So yeah. Let me know if you agree with my predictions, and I'll be back in a few weeks to predict both the Championship and the Premier League.